Please.
Well, actually, there is a political issue surrounding the Super Bowl, as you well know. The Georgia state flag includes the Confederate stars and bars. Is it appropriate for the National Football League, do you think, as a former player, to take a position on this?
Well, I think the commissioner has taken the right position. They've been invited to Atlanta. The mayor of Atlanta, who happens to be an African-American, the former mayor of Atlanta, Andy Young, and Sam Nunn a little bit earlier all suggested that this will be an issue in the future. But at the moment, I don't think the people of Georgia want folks coming down from Washington, D.C. telling them what to do about the flag. As far as I'm concerned, I agreed with Sam in what he said. I think that was a courageous position for him to take. I'd take it a step further. On Thursday and Friday, we built some homes for low-income families. I'm on the board with Jimmy Carter of Habitat for Humanity. 4 new families are getting their own homes in downtown Atlanta who have never owned a piece of property in their life. They didn't bring up the flag once. They want jobs, they want education, they want a chance to get a piece of the American dream. So it'll be wrestled with in the state legislature, and people will have to examine their conscience as to what it really means. But as far as I'm concerned, the NFL did the right thing.
Do you believe, having been a former player and having been involved with minority athletes at a time when many Caucasian Americans didn't have that sort of involvement, do you think that's given you insight into this situation that perhaps other conservative Republicans don't have?
Well, I was president of the Football Players Union of the American League, and I was in the All-Star game in 1964. I think it was 64 when the game was moved from New Orleans to Houston. And my career really spanned the civil rights movement. In fact, I remember my parents going to the game. I was co-captain of the Chargers in '62, and the parents of our other co-captain, who happened to be black, his parents had to sit behind a rope in the end zone while my parents sat on the 50-yard line. I was offended then. There's been tremendous progress. I think sports have had a lot to do with opening up opportunities for black and minority men and women in this country. I hope I'm sensitive. I hope people of Georgia are sensitive. I understand what Bruce Smith or other black football players are saying when they think about what that stands for. So it is up to all people to examine their conscience and make sure that symbols, which are important to people, as well as substance, do reflect the civil liberties of all people.
Is there enough sensitivity generally within Republican ranks toward minority issues?
No.
Jack, yeah?
We have written off for too long the black vote, the minority vote, and frankly, the urban vote. And I believe with all my heart that the Republican Party will not be whole, W-H-O-L-E again, until we invite men and women of color, particularly blacks, into the party of Abraham Lincoln and prove it by having policies that help educate their children, give them a stake in the American dream, and to create more jobs and more entrepreneurial activities for this country.
Sam Nunn said he hopes that the Georgia legislature would change the flag. Is that Jack Kemp's view?
I said I agreed with Sam Nunn.
That you would change the flag?
I think it has to be done, though, by Georgia. I don't think they are going to appreciate me coming down and telling them what to do about their flag. But I think they have got to examine their own conscience and make sure that the symbols of Georgia reflect the substance. This state has been quite progressive in opening up opportunities. This city has been run by minority mayors now 3 straight terms. That's tremendous progress. All of us, particularly in the North, have a long way to go, though, to open up this country to all people, irrespective of the color of their skin.
Nobody's suggesting these are comparable situations, but the thing you alluded to a while ago in the mid-'60s, the AFL All-Star Game, you were a quarterback for the Bills, was scheduled to be played in New Orleans, and some black players weren't served at clubs in the French Quarter, and they got together, and eventually the league moved the game to Houston.
Abner Haynes, Ernie Ladd, Cookie Gilchrist, Art Powell, many of the players of the American Football League, and frankly, a lot of the white football players from the South wanted to move the game when they found out that their teammates had been discriminated against in several places. But thank God that's behind us. But we need to put not only the substance behind us, in my view, the symbols as well.
The most money you made as a quarterback was $50,000 a year.
Yeah.
Some of the players on the field will be making $6 million. Is there too much greed in this sport?
Hearts,
too much greed?
No. My son played his last year with the Eagles, made more money his last year than I made in 13 years of pro football. I used to say he was only half as good as his old man. He's better than me. No, that isn't greed. Does it bother you that Natalie Cole last night or Frank Sinatra performed in the convention center and probably made $1 million for one evening performance? That is the marketplace, and I think professional football players are taking advantage of that opportunity, and I think the league is. And frankly, that's what the market has dictated. I believe in free market economics.
As a potential presidential candidate, I maybe putting you in a difficult situation because there are a lot of electoral votes coming out of Texas. But wouldn't you feel great if Buffalo won today?
I made the mistake for the last 3 years with Russert picking the Bills. I'm not going to make a fool of myself this year. I'll tell you what, though, I really believe with all my heart the Buffalo Bills are the only team in the NFL that can go toe-to-toe with the Cowboys for a full hour.
Wait, are the Bills going to win or not?
I didn't do what Nunn said. Nunn said I'm for the Bills before the game, and I'll be for the Cowboys after it's over.
Are the Bills going to win or not?
I'm not going to say.
Do you believe this?
I'm for them.
How can they win?
This could be your last appearance.
How can they win?
I spent one whole year apologizing for picking the Bills by 52 points.
I read a profile about our next guest.
I'm not going to jinx them.
Our next guest. I read a profile of next guest, Paul Tagliabue of the NFL, likes foreign policy. He'd like to be Secretary of State. Could he be Secretary of State in the Kemp administration?
I was hoping he'd run for president. I could be his Secretary of State.
All right, Jack Kemp, thanks very much.
All the best.
We have to leave it
Bob.
there. Thanks for joining us. We'll be right back with the Commissioner of the National Football League, Paul Tagliabue.
The Raiders that one year when they went either.
Well, when we get to topless bars, we'll shift the subject. There's another team that might, like the Bills, go to its fourth straight championship game this year, and that's the Chicago Bulls.
And back to the issue we addressed a moment ago with Jack Kemp. As you know, there will be protests outside the Georgia Dome today about the league playing the Super Bowl in a state which includes the Confederate stars and bars in its state flag. Now, this is a statement from your assistant, Joe Brown. We do not believe that we should go into that state as if we were a political advocacy group and threaten anyone. Fine, let's accept that. But that means that the league's position has changed since the Martin Luther King holiday flap in Arizona a couple of years ago, right?
No, that's not true. Our position hasn't changed at all. In Arizona, we did not want to get involved in a political controversy. The elected officials there did not want us to get involved in a political controversy. The same is true here. We were invited to play this game by Maynard Jackson when he was the mayor, an African-American mayor. We're here playing it with Mayor Bill Campbell, an African-American mayor, supporting what we're doing, which is not injecting ourselves in the political controversy. One of the big differences is that in Arizona, we were 3 years in advance of the game. We had an opportunity to defer the game. Here, we did not have that option. It was raised at the last minute, but I think our positions are consistent.
But you said at that time, back in '91, as I recall it, we will not play a Super Bowl in a state which does not have a Martin Luther King holiday. And
That's
subsequently, that referendum lost in Arizona. Many people think out of resentment. Let's not have these guys from New York and the NFL tell us how to run our state. Then subsequently, when the next time around it did pass, then the game was reinstated for '96. But the '93 Super Bowl, which was to have been played in Phoenix, went to Pasadena.
That's correct. But the same issues are...
So you played a role. The league played a role in that.
We played a role, but our most constructive role was deferring the playing of the game and letting the political process work in the state of Arizona. The counterproductive role was by some outsiders, including a network, which was perceived probably unfairly as putting pressure on the people of Arizona. It's the same point that Jack Kemp made. It's the history of civil rights progress in this country. People have to decide their own problems. They have to bring themselves together. They have to unify. Rhetoric tends to divide. These problems are solved when people work them out best themselves.
So you don't feel that the NFL, even if for all the right intentions, did put pressure on the folks in Arizona and did affect, at least temporarily, the opposite result of what it hoped for?
Well, if pressure was put on, that was not our purpose. Our purpose was to let them decide the political question without the Super Bowl becoming a factor, without outsiders becoming a big player. We make a powerful statement every time we play our Super Bowl. We come in with teams that are racially diverse. We come in with teams that have African Americans in leadership positions. We come in and do community projects. We're working here in the city of Atlanta, as we did in Los Angeles, with inner city youth. We think we can be most positive by letting our actions being our statements rather than just coming in with rhetoric.
Would you bring the Super Bowl back to Atlanta until the flag is changed?
That's something we're going to have to address down the road. You know, that issue won't come up, I think, until the year 2000. That's the next opportunity we'll have to be here. The Olympics are going to be here in the meantime. The legislature is certainly going to be in session in the meantime. And I think processes are going to go forward that make that question premature.
Let me follow up on that. With a couple cities are thinking of moving their teams, the Washington Redskins, in an urban setting, the nation's capital, out to the suburbs in Laurel, Maryland. The Los Angeles Rams thinking of fleeing Los Angeles. Is there a sense that the National Football League is allowing, tolerating, even encouraging teams to abandon urban centers, denying Washington and Baltimore teams, and letting them go to the white suburbs?
I don't think so. You know, the Rams are in Anaheim. It's not exactly downtown Los Angeles. The Raiders are in South Central Los Angeles playing.
The Redskins are in the city.
The Redskins are in the city, but let's face it, inner city properties are expensive. The Redskins have been trying to get a stadium with the District of Columbia government for a number of years. Other people have been trying to get private enterprise going in the District of Columbia with the government and are having a difficult time doing it. I don't think it's a problem of the National Football League. I think it's a problem of the cost of land close to the core of the city, and I think in some cases it's the problem of getting city governments to move.
You have the two new teams set in Charlotte and Jacksonville for 95. When can we expect the league to expand again?
We're going to address that within the next couple of months. We're looking at the possibility of expanding to 32. A number of factors come into that. First of all, we don't make money by expanding. We divide the pie up further with two additional slices if we were to go to 32, as we divide it up further by going to 30. So we have to keep the pie growing. That's the first part of it. Second of all, we have to have the players. As you know, there's a question now. Do we have enough depth at the quarterback position? Do we have enough depth at some of the skill positions? We're working on that. We're doing things. We're starting our European League partly as a player development league. So all those factors will go into the question of when we go beyond 30.
There are legitimate questions about dilution of talent, but as you know, it's pretty clear there's less product out there than the market will bear. There are many cities that could support expansion teams, or perhaps could be places where existing teams could move. Do you worry about congressional intervention if it's perceived that the NFL is abusing its monopoly power? It may be a natural monopoly, but you could make an argument it's abusing its power if cities are left to build stadiums and then those stadiums are empty as they lose out in the expansion derby. They spend public funds on those facilities that could be diverted to other, perhaps more worthwhile uses.
Well, I don't accept the premise that there could be more product out there. There's been a tremendous explosion of sports product in the marketplace in the last 10 years. One of the big problems in the marketplace in the last 5 years has been too much product, too much sports. The advertisers haven't been there to support it. It's diluted the product and the attendance by fans in certain cities, not NFL, but across the sports marketplace. I don't think that we're doing anything other than acting very responsibly, frankly. We've expanded. We have labor peace with our union for the first time in many years. We have a strong television program which includes broadcast television way beyond what any other league has.
You have 10 seconds. 2-point conversion, is it coming?
I hope so. I think it would be good for the game.
Commissioner, the AFC has lost 9 Super Bowls in a row. The Bills have lost 3 in a row. Shouldn't the Bills win today?
I think
Wouldn't it be good for football?
There's a lot of people and growing sentiment that way, including in the media. And when the media says something, it usually happens.
You're for the Bills. I like it. Commissioner Tagliabue, thanks very much. Bob Costas, thank you. We'll be right back after this message. The Super Bowl with my Buffalo Bills. You remember last year I prayed, and that didn't work. An unworthy petitioner, I guess. In fact, after the Cowboys squeaked by the Bills 52-17, my colleague Tom Brokaw remarked that maybe God was a Southern Baptist. So now, America, I ask for your understanding one more time. Let the Bills have this one. Dallas doesn't need another Super Bowl. They've already won 3. They have all that big oil, big bucks, Ross Perot, Bobby Ray Inman. Why in the world do they need another Super Bowl? I'll make you a deal. You cheer for the Buffalo Bills, and they win. I will not mention them on Meet the Press for 1 year, I promise. And most important, you'll make this guy, my dad, the happiest guy in the world. So for Big Russ, his buddies back in Buffalo who helped make this country great, for the city of Buffalo, and for all the underdogs in this country and around the world, go you Buffalo Bills. Pull off the biggest upset in football history. We'll see you next week. If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Thumbs up.